What if the thing you want the most is the very thing blocking your happiness? Have you already noticed that while your plans make sense, they don't make you happy? Today we're contemplating lesson 24. I do not perceive my own best interests. This lesson dismantles the most convincing illusion yet. Conviction without clarity. You insist that your best interests are already obvious to you. But are they? The mind that plans for its own happiness cannot recognize it because its plans are based only on the known and familiar past. The perceptual error we're undoing in this lesson is this. You believe you know what will make you happy. You don't. Not because you're incapable, but because your goals are fragmented. Think about a situation where you have a desire. Any situation. And notice how many things you want at once. To be understood, to be safe, to be admired, to avoid loss, to feel right, to control outcomes, or to escape discomfort. These goals sit on different levels and contradict each other. So even if one of your goals is achieved, another is violated. This is why satisfaction never lasts. But this lesson doesn't criticize our desires. It simply exposes the confusion. The truth is that you are not acting freely. You are negotiating between incompatible demands, and you're calling that tension decision-making. The exercises of this lesson invite honesty, not strategy. They reveal how often your goals have nothing to do with the situation at hand. Many times they attempt to fix identity, fix history, remove fear, and somehow protect your self-image all at once, and with an unexamined assumption that if you could achieve this, then you would be happy. When you finally see this, something important happens. That sense of certainty, that deep conviction that you know, finally collapses. And that collapse is mercy, because the moment that you admit that I do not perceive my own best interests, real learning becomes possible. This is the moment that guidance replaces guessing, clarity replaces control, and peace, trust, these replace planning. So this lesson is not about surrendering intelligence. It's about surrendering illusions that you behold as your truth. Only when you are free of what you insist you know, then can your real interests be shown to you, whole, coherent, and finally free of conflict. So now I want to invite you to let your body relax as you take a deep, full breath. Let's connect deeply with this central idea. I do not perceive my own best interests. As you let your mind and body relax, simply place this idea in mind. and use it as a lens to look at your life and see if you can come into contact with the possibility that this statement is true. Can you see it? Take these next few moments and let yourself witness what unfolds as you behold this lens. And now, let's begin to open up our contemplation into dialogue. And the first question that I want to ask you, Shanti, is this. What if the most honest thing that we could admit is that we do not actually know what would make us happy?
What if the real honesty is that we're all just making it up as we go? That feeling when you let go of needing to have the right answer, there's this lightness that comes through. Like the mind doesn't have to defend itself as much.
What's so attractive about that sense that we do know what would make us happy?
There's this safety in it, I think. The illusion of control. Like if we can define happiness, have a clear picture of it, then we can plan and grasp for it. But maybe the truth is that chasing an image is what gets in the way of actually feeling joy.
But why does it feel like believing that I don't know what's best seem to make learning impossible?
That's a really interesting tension. Like on one hand, if we think we already know, learning stops. We're just confirming what we thought was true all along. But if we genuinely recognize our ignorance, does that create openness, or does it feel like there's nothing to hold on to?
It almost feels like there's a part of the mind that resists being taught in the way that this lesson suggests.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. Like, the mind has built this identity around being the knower. And if it's not in charge of knowing, what is it? What's its role then? Maybe the resisting part is just afraid of becoming less important?
So what's the difference then between what we want and what would genuinely serve our peace?
That's the heart of the lesson, isn't it? When the noise about wanting stops, then you just rest. Is that where real peace starts showing up? Like, not some future peace that we're planning for, but just this moment holding something we don't even know we needed?
Yeah, it's so interesting when we really collapse this all into this now moment, right? Because this truly is where peace, love, joy, truth, revelation, oneness is available. And yet it always seems like we are trying to create certain conditions to finally allow us to enter it.
Exactly. We spend all this energy building the perfect setup for peace, the right job, the right relationship, the right meditation cushion. And the irony is that the conditions we're striving for, those are all just thoughts. So we're trying to get somewhere we're already here.
So what would you say? Like, how often do our desires come from that sense of familiarity and wanting to control and predict rather than wisdom?
I would say almost always. Like those I want thoughts usually feel so important and urgent, but if you just look at them sideways, most of them are really just a longing for that sense of predictability, that feeling of safety. They're not actually about happiness at all. They're about avoiding the unfamiliar.
Avoiding the unfamiliar. And yet, isn't it the unfamiliar that we are actually wanting to experience? Because what we have already here is something that we say we don't want, isn't it?
We're constantly complaining that what we have isn't enough. We're dissatisfied with what's here now. But then we're desperate for something other than this moment. And that other is just future discontent repackaged. Feels like we're just running in circles, chasing the same sadness in a new disguise.
Yeah. And then expanding, to what we're looking at in this lesson as the various conflicting goals. Like, why do we ask the same situation to give us so many different things like security, validation, freedom, control, happiness, all at once?
Because the ego thinks it can have it all. Like, if it can orchestrate everything perfectly, it'll finally get what? Complete assurance that nothing will threaten it. But that's an unfulfillable request, right? Life keeps happening, impermanence keeps flowing. It's like building a sandcastle. No matter how hard you try, the tide will always come in.
Yeah. So it's like disappointment is inevitable, right? When our goals conflict, or even when we have all of this to ask from the situation, it's almost like the core assumption is that we don't already have it. And so we're trying to get it. We in truth, we have it all, but in the ego's perspective, it's all out there.
Exactly. And that feeling, that gap between what is and what I think should be, that's the birthplace of suffering. Because in every moment, what is actually happening is happening. There's peace, freedom, love, already here, but the mind overlays a story that it's not enough.
So what happens when we demand that a situation resolve our inner conflict for us?
The thing dissolves, the conflict stays, just shifts location. It's like when two ego identities are at war, and a situation is just a new battlefield for that same war. The conflict doesn't get smaller or simpler, it just creates more collateral damage. Maybe the only solution is to recognize the conflict, but stop expecting an external situation to fix it.
Recognize the conflict as what?
As just ego mind talking to itself. Two different projections of the same insecurity. When we stop treating outside people or events like the root of our inner chaos, what's left is this spaciousness. Like, okay, here's the story, but that story doesn't have to be me right now.
So how do we actually do that? Because when the subjective experience of the mind is such that, there is something unwanted, it seems to be connected to an external situation. There's an aspect of the mind that wants to be at peace, wants to not have that sense of tension. And then, what happens is that the thoughts try to think their way through it, right? Different scenarios, different words, dialogues, conversations. I think something that many of us are very familiar with. And so, yes, we try to take a breath. We're like, okay, these are just thoughts. These thoughts don't mean anything. And yet that momentum, that energy, that felt sense is very much there.
Right. Because the mental noticing doesn't automatically dissolve the emotional charge. Like knowing intellectually that this is just a thought doesn't necessarily take away the tightness in the chest. It needs something more, I think. A willingness to stay with the discomfort rather than trying to resolve it. A kind of curiosity about the discomfort itself.
Okay. So just the experience of it without trying to escape it, right? And even if we extend it to a previous lesson, also without trying to attack it or make it wrong or bring the same strategy to the sensation now.
Exactly. To just be with it as it is. The mind tries to explain, understand, fix, control, but maybe the simple practice of presence is enough. Just resting in the sensation without a story about it. Almost like it's just energy that passes through when we don't cling to it.
What I'm noticing is that the cost of, knowing how it should be, like this sensation should go away, these thoughts should dissolve. I know that they aren't true, but even there, that sense of certainty has a cost. And in and of itself so often leads to frustration, doesn't it?
Yes, that's such a gentle insight that I know this shouldn't be happening actually fuels the suffering. Like there's a whole layer of resistance built on top of the feeling because we're already making an assessment about it before we can actually simply experience it. And maybe that gentle acceptance is more potent than any strategy could be.
So what do you think becomes possible when we release the need to know how things should turn out?
I think something like grace. Like when we let go of being the author of the story, maybe we get to experience something genuinely new instead. We stop directing the plot and start watching what unfolds instead. And sometimes the story that unfolds is so much more tender than anything we could have planned anyway.
Do you think that even our ideas of healing or success or awakening are part of this confusion?
I do. Because there's almost always an agenda hidden underneath those goals. Like, even the desire to be awakened, is that just another ego story? A preference for a certain outcome instead of just being fully open to whatever happens? When we really give up trying to become something else, that's where we discover everything was already here.
It's almost like not knowing is the doorway rather than the problem.
It really is. The humility of not knowing is so radical because it opens up everything. You can't hold on to the illusion of control. You can't defend a particular outcome. And the beautiful freedom is that whatever happens next is actually possible.
Yeah, it just feels so daring on one hand, and there's so many ways it seems to misuse this idea. It's like we don't mean not knowing and then not making any decision and not knowing what to say in the next moment and just being mute, right? It's not that. It's almost like we are here in the moment following the prompts, not really knowing what the outcome would be, but we're still alive, dynamic, and in the flow of life, would you say?
You're describing exactly what I see too. Not knowing isn't the same as being paralyzed or inert. There's still movement, intention, connection happening. It's more like being carried by a current without resisting it. There's still life happening, you're still engaging, but there is a trust that you don't need to know exactly how it's all going to unfold.
Is that describing what it would really feel like to let guidance lead instead of our plans?
That's exactly what it sounds like. We often have these ideas of guidance as needing to be some grand external voice telling us what to do, and maybe the real guidance is more subtle. It's the intuitive movement, the gentle impulse, the openness that can move through us when we're not obstructing the channel with our agendas.
Shanti, as we now come to the close of our conversation for today, what is one thing that you want to share with us that would help to deepen this insight and the revelation that today's lesson is bringing forth to us?
The simplest thing that comes through is this. Remember that the only effort required is the willingness to be present, to meet whatever life hands you, not with anticipation or resistance, but with gentle curiosity. It takes courage to simply be open to whatever reveals itself. The lesson isn't about achieving something, it's about meeting life with openness, moment by moment.
And as we close this session, I want to invite you, as the listener, to simply let your awareness open. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen once again. And open yourself to this holy instant that surrounds you and envelops you now, inviting you into the truth that makes you free. And now, let us go into the silence.